When CYJO first approached me about being part of the Kyopo project, when she told me about it, I thought it was a little bit out there because I didn't quite understand. I was trying to get my mind around it, but she was so passionate about this. And then once I really kind of dug in and I started seeing the images of the people she had photographed, I started getting it. And I think what she's been able to do is to tell the story of the Korean American narrative, which is not one single story. It's a tapestry with many different strands, but to capture that in a highly visual way that no one else had done before. And I think she's really been able to create something that tells our story in a new way, but in a way that captures the totality of our experiences. I think one thing that's really fascinating about Korean Americans, and this is true for many immigrant communities, is that there's such incredible diversity. No one has quite the same story. We all come from different walks of life. Yet at the same time, there's a core common bond that brings us together, and it's a combination of our upbringing, the cultural values we share, the food that we eat together. And so even though you meet someone who was raised in Western California and they meet someone brought up on the East Coast, there's an immediate connection there, an immediate bond that's nonverbal. You understand the experiences that the other person went through, you understand the same kinds of prejudices and challenges, and the same sources of pride that we all share. A few years ago, I would have been a little bit more, maybe a little bit more fearful for some of the challenges that my children might face. I think people who are of mixed ancestry oftentimes have difficulty assimilating in either culture, right? And Koreans have historically had challenges in terms of being welcoming of people from different heritages. But I feel like we're now in a different world. I feel like there's a growing acceptance of the value of having kind of multicultural perspectives and ancestries. I feel like my children have an opportunity to bring the best of both worlds together in a way that I, for example, wouldn't have been able to. So I think there's a tremendous amount of potential for them, but it also just gives me more incentive to try to change the world in a way that will make it easier for them as they grow up. When I was growing up, our family was not very artistically inclined. We didn't engage in a lot of artistic or cultural endeavors. So for me, the work that I've been able to do in television, I primarily saw it as a platform for trying to bring a voice and a perspective that was lacking. And in that process, I think I've really learned an appreciation for the power of images, of words, of artistic kind of imagery to capture just sort of a visceral emotion that you otherwise couldn't convey simply through kind of other more standard forms of communication. So yeah, I mean, I wish that I had more of that exposure growing up, and I think for my own children, I definitely want them to develop those inclinations.